Hi everyone. So today it's 3 o'clock and I haven't really done a lot. I've been and got some new vape liquid and have done some cleaning and thought I will come and do some vlogging. So I was meant to see a social worker today. He was meant to come and see me, but I asked him if we could just do it over the phone because that was an option. But when he rang, I ignored the phone, and I don't know why I do it, because it makes me look so bad all the time, and I wish I could explain. I wish I could explain, but I thought I'm really funny about my teeth. I'm having my teeth fixed at the minute, because of one of them was broken. So they filed both my front teeth down and put caps on both of them, and then the one cap has come off, and I've got to have a few taken out, and then I'm going to have a plate put in, but that's all in the future. I've got to wait to have the ones that need to be taken out. So I'm really apprehensive. I think people will judge me straight away on things like that. You know, oh, she was an addict, mental disabilities, bad teeth. You know, I always feel people are judging me all the time, and that's hard. So I avoid them. That way I don't have to face them, and yeah. So, and plus I've put a load of weight on as well, because I've not been going out, but you know, I'm on some pretty hefty medication as well, and I haven't been exercising really that much. I go out and do I go into some abandoned building stuff, but that's about it. A lot of it's driving around to try and find somewhere to go in. So yeah, but anyway, so I'm not, things aren't looking good there. But what I should probably do is ring him after I've done this. I shall ring him, so I can then, when I vlog tomorrow, I can say I rang him and made sure it was okay. He just wants to discuss. He's helping my mum doing this because she wants to be the guardian of my children. So he's helping my mum with all that preparation, and she's kind of being tested. So it's all been done underneath, you know, under me. When I say under me, I mean I'm here, but I don't know about it. So I should say, like, under my nose, without knowing what they're speaking about. It's like they've just taken my children. You know, my mum's looking after them, and they need to be with me. They need to be home now. There's no reason why they shouldn't be. And I've been treated so badly, and I just have been treated so badly by, like, a piece of shit. You know, like I'm their mum, and I'm a mother and I haven't got my children. And there's no reason other than one, you know, our social worker doesn't think I'm capable because of my mental health. And how many parents are out there that have mental health disabilities? You know, I went to hospital recently, but I went in as an inpatient. I wasn't sectioned. You know, I wanted to get better. I've wanted to get better. I take my medication. I do everything. And it's been 6 months since I had my last breakdown. And I have no communication with, there's nothing. Because I didn't want the social worker that we have, because I think he's been prejudiced, I can't say the word, but from day one, he decided that my children were better off with my mum. So that was the path he was taking, and it didn't matter what anyone else had to say. It didn't matter how well I got. So, you know, I did get better, but I can only get so far, and then I break down again because I don't have my children. I break down because I'm a mother without her children. You know, they can't see that they're the ones doing this to me. They're the ones that are pushing me away from my children. It's so hard to explain. But in 2019, at the beginning of 2020, I was in a women and children's refuge, me and my son. He was 4 at the time, and we were in Cornwall, and we managed to get ourselves right back from there to where we are now, which is a long way. Like, we travelled up because I don't drive, so we went on a train and we stayed in a hotel on a couple of nights, and then somewhere else we stayed in a safe house for about a month. And I wanted to be near to my mum and my other. I've got 2 daughters, and they were living with my mum, so I wanted to be close to them. So they put me somewhere that wasn't, you know, wasn't particularly that close, but it was the closest they could get me. And I was doing all right, but I got to. We'd been in the refuge for a few weeks, and bear in mind it had been so hectic, our lives, so hectic up until then. And I was at a point where I could breathe, and when I breathed, everything just in my head, everything that had been happening over the last few years, everything that's, you know, not having my girls with me, all of that, it just fell onto me. You know, I took my son away from his dad for his own safety. I did that. I could have stayed, and I couldn't have. There is no way I could have. I couldn't have stayed at all, to be honest. No, there is no way I would be putting him through that. No, not a moment longer. You know, his dad was vile to me, vile to him, vile to my daughters. Hence they were living with my mum, because they're not his children and they're a lot older, and they chose to be with my mum. And that there should have been me saying, oh, I'm going off into different stories because there's so much to this story. But I breathed, and I ended up going into, I wasn't sectioned again. I went in willingly into a mental hospital. So Charlie went to my mum's, and it was the first time me and him had ever been apart overnight, and it was awful, but I knew that I was getting better, so I thought, I'm getting better here. So I'm going to do this. So I was in there for about 4 weeks. I came out, and the Women's Refuge, they were trying to find any way of getting me out of that place, because they couldn't cope with my mental health. You know, they had no training on how to deal with people suffering with mental health disabilities, and yet there were everyone in there was had been abused by domestic violence, so they were all suffering from various mental health. But this place was not fun, you know, it was funded by a church. It was like a church place. It's not a government funded place. And so they wanted me to leave, and I went and lived in a caravan. So then, because I couldn't get my son back, so then my mental health was deteriorating. I was not bringing Charlie to live in a caravan that was far away from everything. I wasn't doing it. And whilst I was in the mental hospital, they started Charlie in school. My mum did, because obviously they didn't know how long I was going to be till I got better. So they got the ball rolling and got him into school. So I didn't want to take him away from that. So I said, that's fine. But from then, it's just been... It's so complicated. I don't even know how to explain it. I mean... what am I meant to do? It breaks my heart every time I have to go and I have to say goodbye to them. And Charlie's asking, are you going to have a sleepover? Me and my mum don't particularly get along. So sometimes I'll have a sleepover, but obviously the longer and longer that I stay with him, the more he doesn't want me to go. And I have to go, you know, it's not... And he'll say, Mummy, can you have another sleepover? And it fucking breaks my heart. And I just think maybe not seeing them saves their little hearts from being broken every time I have to leave. I mean, Evie, she's my youngest daughter, and she's 15. So she does come over, and she comes over to stay with me sometimes. But she's not meant to. We just, you know, we do it secretly. But we Daisy, my eldest daughter, she doesn't particularly want it. She's 19 and she's got her own life. She lives with her boyfriend. She's got a job, and she drives, and I suppose she's an embarrassment.